Welcome back to Outdoor Story. In this video, we follow our builder and her loyal companion as they head deep into the forest to start a new shelter from the ground up. Her first task is to find a suitable location and clear a path through the dense, wild vegetation. Using a sharp machete, she hacks through the thick undergrowth, pushing deeper into the woods. She removes fallen logs to create a clear workspace on the sloped terrain. With the area marked out, the real work begins. She uses a pickaxe to break up the hard-packed soil, preparing the ground for excavation. The goal is to carve a level terrace into the hillside, which will serve as the foundation for her build. With the initial patch of ground broken, she continues clearing the surrounding area. She uses a machete to slice through dense foliage, creating a wider path and defining the perimeter of her worksite. Smaller branches and weeds are pulled out by hand, clearing the ground down to the soil. She repositions heavy, fallen logs, moving them to form a rough outline of the shelter's foundation. These logs will serve as a natural retaining wall, helping to stabilize the terraced ground on the slope. After a short break with her companion, she retrieves a hoe and shovel from her pack. She begins digging in earnest, loosening the topsoil and using the shovel to move earth from the high side to the low side. This painstaking process of leveling is critical for establishing a stable, flat base for the structure. The builder continues the slow but steady process of carving out the foundation. With each swing of the pickaxe, she breaks apart the dense earth, gradually deepening the excavation. The back wall of the terrace is cut cleanly into the slope, creating a firm, vertical surface. With the initial excavation complete, she turns her attention to sourcing timber for the retaining wall. Using a sharp handsaw, she cuts fallen logs into uniform lengths. This technique of using deadfall is a sustainable way to gather building materials without harming the living forest. She then carries the heavy logs and positions them to form the front and side walls of the foundation. The logs are stacked and interlocked, creating a sturdy frame that will prevent soil erosion and provide a solid base for the structure. With the perimeter secured, she resumes digging, now focusing on leveling the interior floor. She uses the pickaxe to break up the remaining high spots and the shovel to smooth the surface, ensuring a perfectly flat foundation. With the main excavation complete, she refines the details of the foundation. Using a small shovel, she scrapes the earthen walls, creating smooth, vertical surfaces. This step ensures the walls are stable and ready for the next phase of construction. She then begins carving a small alcove into the back wall with her pickaxe. This niche will serve as a built-in storage space, maximizing the utility of the compact shelter. Once the opening is established, she uses the shovel to clear out the loose earth. Next, she sources a different type of soil from a nearby deposit. This clay-rich earth will be used to create a strong, natural building material. After collecting the clay in a bag, she retrieves water from a small stream, using a hollowed bamboo stalk as a makeshift aqueduct. Back at the site, she mixes the water and clay thoroughly with her shovel. The mixture is worked until it reaches a thick, malleable consistency, perfect for forming mud bricks or applying as cob. Finally, she gathers large, flat stones from the surrounding area, which will form a durable base for the shelter's walls. With the foundation set, she begins constructing a fire pit, a crucial element for cooking and warmth. First, she digs a circular pit and lines the perimeter with the mud balls she prepared earlier. This forms the initial insulating layer. Next, she carefully stacks the flat stones around the mud base, building up the walls of the pit. She uses more mud as mortar, pressing it firmly into the gaps between the stones to create a solid, heat-resistant structure. Once the fire pit is complete, she moves on to preparing the timber for the shelter's frame. Using her handsaw, she meticulously cuts a large log to the required length. She then prepares her tools, carving a new wedge to secure the head of her axe, ensuring it is safe and effective for the heavy work ahead. With her axe ready, she begins splitting the log. By driving the axe and wooden wedges along the grain, she carefully splits the log in half. This traditional technique, known as riving, is an efficient way to create strong, straight planks from a single log, which will form the main structural components of her shelter. With one log successfully split, she begins the painstaking process of hollowing it out. Using precise axe strokes, she carves away the inner core, gradually shaping the wood into a long, trough-like piece. This component will likely serve as a key structural element, such as a ridge beam or a gutter. Next, she erects the first major support for the roof structure, a thick, vertical post set firmly in the center of the earthen floor. After digging a deep hole, she positions the post and backfills it, tamping the soil down to ensure it is stable and secure. To create the curved roof line, she bends two long, flexible saplings into an arch, fixing them to the central post. This simple yet effective technique establishes the framework for the arched roof. She then begins installing the back wall, placing the split log planks vertically against the earthen bank and securing them to the arched frame with nails. She works methodically, plank by plank, creating a solid, curved wall that forms the back of the shelter. After a brief rest, she turns her attention to preparing more timber. She saws another log to length and begins splitting it with her axe and wedges. Each log is carefully processed, transforming raw timber into the essential building blocks for her expanding structure. She continues the methodical work of processing timber. Each log is carefully split into smaller, more manageable planks. Using a handsaw, she cuts them to the required lengths, creating a stockpile of uniform building materials for the shelter's frame and floor. With enough planks prepared, she begins erecting the front of the structure. She digs two deep post holes and sets the main vertical supports in place. To ensure they are perfectly stable, she packs stones and earth around the base of each post, tamping them down firmly. This solid foundation is essential for the integrity of the entire build. Next, she heads back into the dense forest to gather more resources. She selects and fells several young, straight saplings, which are ideal for creating a lightweight yet strong framework. Back at the site, she lays out two main support poles and begins assembling a raised platform. She carefully nails the thinner saplings across the supports, creating two sturdy, ladder-like frames. These will form the base of a raised sleeping platform, keeping her off the damp ground. She works with precision, ensuring each piece is securely fastened before moving to the next. The completed panels are now ready to be installed. She now completes the assembly of the raised sleeping platform, adding thinner saplings as cross-bracing to strengthen the structure. With the frames complete, she lifts each section and carefully positions them inside the shelter, creating a sturdy, elevated bed. Next, she erects the main posts for the front of the shelter. Digging deep holes, she sets two thick logs vertically, packing rocks and soil around the base to lock them firmly in place. These posts will support the entrance and the front of the roof. Another flexible sapling is bent into an arch and secured to these posts, mirroring the curve of the back wall and completing the primary roof frame. She then installs the front wall panels, leaving a central opening that will become the doorway. The panels are nailed securely to the vertical posts. With the main frame in place, she begins constructing a low retaining wall along the side of the shelter entrance. She stacks logs horizontally and uses the prepared mud as a strong, natural mortar to bind them together, preventing soil erosion and defining the entrance path. She continues to fortify the shelter's entrance, carefully stacking logs to build up the retaining wall. Using her hands, she packs the thick mud mortar between each log, ensuring a tight, durable seal that will hold the structure firmly in place. Next to the main shelter, she begins constructing a small, round stove. She digs a pit, lines it with mud and stone, and builds up the walls, creating an efficient and safe place for cooking. The main framework is then extended by adding a second arch support, creating the outline for the front of the roof. To build the raised sleeping platform, she ventures into the forest to harvest straight, slender saplings. These are cut to size and lashed together to form sturdy panels. She lifts the completed panels into place, creating a comfortable sleeping area elevated off the ground. Finally, she adds more layers to the retaining wall, reinforcing it with additional logs and mud. She carefully embeds a circular frame made from a flexible vine into the top of the wall, forming the base for a chimney that will vent smoke from the indoor stove. The structure is now taking on its final, functional shape. With the main structure taking shape, she takes a well-deserved break at a nearby stream. The cool, clear water provides a refreshing respite from the day's labor. She and her loyal companion enjoy a quiet moment, bathing in the natural pool. Refreshed, she returns to the shelter as dusk begins to settle. Inside the now enclosed space, she unpacks her gear and lays out her sleeping mat on the raised platform. Her next task is to build a fire for warmth and cooking. Using a ferro rod, she strikes sparks into a bundle of dry tinder, carefully nurturing the flame within the small earthen fireplace. With a steady fire blazing, she prepares her evening meal. She unpacks a piece of pork, skewers it on thin bamboo sticks, and seasons it simply. The meat is placed over the hot embers to cook, a simple, rewarding end to a day of hard work and skillful craftsmanship. This first night marks a significant milestone. The shelter is becoming a home. As night falls, the warmth of the fire fills the small shelter. The builder tends to her meal, placing the skewered pork over the hot embers. She prepares rice in a hollowed-out bamboo stalk, adding water and plugging the top with a leaf before placing it on the coals to steam, a classic survival cooking technique that infuses the rice with a subtle, earthy flavor. While the rice cooks, she bastes the pork with a rich glaze, turning it carefully until it's perfectly caramelized. With dinner ready, she slices the tender meat and serves it alongside the freshly steamed bamboo rice. It's a simple yet satisfying meal, a well-earned reward after a long day of labor, which she shares with her faithful companion. The next morning, with new energy, she dismantles the temporary roof, ready to begin the permanent structure. She continues construction on the front retaining walls, mirroring the first side by stacking logs and sealing the gaps with thick mud mortar. This creates a symmetrical and fortified entrance. Finally, she places a heavy split log above the doorway to act as a lintel, completing the main frame of the entrance. The shelter is now a truly defined and enclosed space. With the primary structure now complete, the builder begins constructing the roof. She lays long, straight poles horizontally across the arched frame, forming a sturdy lattice that will support the roofing material. She climbs atop the structure, carefully placing each pole and ensuring they are evenly spaced to distribute the weight. Next, for waterproofing and insulation, she unfurls a large, reflective emergency blanket. This lightweight, durable material serves a dual purpose. Its metallic surface reflects radiant heat, keeping the interior cool in the heat and warm in the cold, while also providing a crucial waterproof barrier. She drapes it carefully over the entire roof structure, securing the edges. To complete the roof, she mixes a large batch of clay and earth, adding water to achieve a thick, plaster-like consistency. She applies this mud mixture by hand over the entire surface of the reflective blanket, packing it down firmly. This thick earthen layer provides excellent natural insulation and protects the underlying structure from the elements. The final major task is to create a durable floor. She saws a large log into thick, circular sections, then carefully arranges these wood rounds inside the shelter, fitting them together like paving stones. This not only creates a stable, dry floor, but also adds a beautiful, rustic finish to the interior. The shelter is now a fully enclosed, weatherproof sanctuary, built with patience and a deep understanding of natural materials. With the main shelter complete, she turns her attention to building a covered porch at the entrance. She selects two naturally forked branches to serve as the main support posts. After digging deep holes, she sets the posts firmly in the ground, packing earth and stones around the base to ensure a solid foundation. A long, straight log is then lifted into place, resting securely in the forks of the post to create the main crossbeam. Next, she begins laying smaller poles across the frame to form the roof of the porch. Each pole is carefully measured and cut to size. Using her axe, she carves precise notches into the ends, allowing them to fit snugly onto the main beam. This traditional joinery technique creates a strong, interlocking structure without the need for many nails. The porch extends the living space, providing a sheltered area to enjoy the forest surroundings. This house is more than just a building, it's a home, crafted with patience, skill, and a deep connection to the forest. A testament to what can be achieved with simple tools and the resources of the wild. With the main structure complete, she turns her attention to building a covered porch at the entrance. She selects two naturally forked branches to serve as the main support posts. After digging deep holes, she sets the posts firmly in the ground, packing earth and stones around the base to ensure a solid foundation. A long, straight log is then lifted into place, resting securely in the forks of the posts to create the main crossbeam. Next, she begins laying smaller poles across the frame to form the roof of the porch. Each pole is carefully measured and cut to size. Using her axe, she carves precise notches into the ends, allowing them to fit snugly onto the main beam. This traditional joinery technique creates a strong, interlocking structure without the need for many nails. The porch extends the living space, providing a sheltered area to enjoy the forest surroundings. She then crafts a simple door from more sapling logs, cutting them to size and nailing them to two horizontal crossbeams. To create a latch, she skillfully carves mortise and tenon joints into the door and frame, a testament to traditional woodworking that ensures a secure closure without metal hardware. This house is more than just a building, it's a home, crafted with patience, skill, and a deep connection to the forest, a testament to what can be achieved with simple tools and the resources of the wild. For waterproofing and insulation, she unfurls a large, reflective emergency blanket. This lightweight, durable material serves a dual purpose. Its metallic surface reflects radiant heat, keeping the interior cool in the heat and warm in the cold, while also providing a crucial waterproof barrier. She drapes it carefully over the entire roof structure, securing the edges. To complete the roof, she mixes a large batch of clay and earth, adding water to achieve a thick, plaster-like consistency. She applies this mud mixture by hand over the entire surface of the reflective blanket, packing it down firmly. This thick earthen layer provides excellent natural insulation and protects the underlying structure from the elements. The final major task is to create a durable floor. She saws a large log into thick, circular sections, then carefully arranges these wood rounds inside the shelter, fitting them together like paving stones. This not only creates a stable, dry floor but also adds a beautiful, rustic finish to the interior. With the shelter's main structure complete, the builder now turns to constructing a small porch. She lays a series of thin logs across the main support beam, forming the rafters for the porch roof. Climbing atop the structure, she carefully arranges each pole, ensuring they are evenly spaced and secure. Next, she adds a waterproof layer, draping a reflective blanket over the porch rafters before covering it with a thick layer of mud. Using her hands, she works the mud into the gaps, smoothing the surface to create a durable, weatherproof seal that blends seamlessly with the main roof. The final major task is to create a durable floor. She saws a large log into thick, circular sections, then carefully arranges these wood rounds inside the shelter, fitting them together like paving stones. This not only creates a stable, dry floor, but also adds a beautiful, rustic finish to the interior. This house is more than just a building, it's a home, crafted with patience, skill, and a deep connection to the forest. A testament to what can be achieved with simple tools and the resources of the wild. She then constructs a wooden door, cutting a circular window for light and ventilation. A simple yet effective locking mechanism is crafted by carving a notch into the door frame and fitting a rotating wooden latch, secured with a sturdy nail. The builder continues to fortify the shelter's entrance, carefully stacking logs to build up the retaining wall. Using her hands, she packs the thick mud mortar between each log, ensuring a tight, durable seal that will hold the structure firmly in place. Next to the main shelter, she begins constructing a small, round stove. She digs a pit, lines it with mud and stone, and builds up the walls, creating an efficient and safe place for cooking. The main framework is then extended by adding a second arch support, creating the outline for the front of the roof. To build the raised sleeping platform, she ventures into the forest to harvest straight, slender saplings. These are cut to size and lashed together to form sturdy panels. She lifts the completed panels into place, creating a comfortable sleeping area elevated off the ground. Finally, she adds more layers to the retaining wall, reinforcing it with additional logs and mud. She carefully embeds a circular frame made from a flexible vine into the top of the wall, forming the base for a chimney that will vent smoke from the indoor stove. The shelter is now taking on its final, functional shape. In the quiet space, a woman in camouflage appeared. She moved confidently and resolutely, carrying a pre-made door in her hand. This door was also made from small, round wooden bars, joined vertically and fixed together in harmony with the general architecture of the house. The special highlight on the door was a circular window cut out at the top, not only to let in light but also to create a unique aesthetic reminiscent of Hobbit houses. The woman carefully fitted the door into the arched doorway of the house. This process was not simply placing it, but required high precision. She skillfully placed the lower part of the door into a groove or a simple but effective rotating mechanism, with holes pre-cut on a wooden bar placed on the ground. This showed that the fabrication had been carefully calculated in advance. Once the door was in the right position, the reinforcement process began. Using a crude hammer and long nails, she began to meticulously hammer each nail to secure the door to the house frame. Close-up shots clearly showed her technique, one hand holding the nail firmly, the other hand swinging the hammer decisively and precisely. The hammer's steady sound, breaking the silence of the forest, was a testament to her hard work. She did not just hammer the nails in one spot, but spread them evenly along both sides of the door frame, ensuring that the door was mounted as firmly as possible, able to withstand external impacts and weather. After firmly fixing it, she tested her work. She gently pushed the door, it rotated smoothly on its axis, and opened up the space inside the house. Then, she closed it, the door perfectly fitting into the frame. The wooden door was no longer a separate part, but had become an indispensable part of the house, completing its rustic yet fully functional appearance. The woman walks out, leaving the door closed, expressing satisfaction with her work. With the main structure now complete, she turns her attention to furnishing the interior. Using smaller logs, she begins crafting a sturdy bench. She carefully measures and cuts the legs and supports, then uses a saw and axe to skillfully shape mortise and tenon joints. This traditional woodworking technique allows her to create strong, interlocking connections without relying on nails. Once the pieces are carved, she assembles the frame, fitting the tenons securely into the mortises. A long, split log is placed on top to form the seat, completing the bench. She then builds a matching side chair, using the same precise joinery to ensure it is both durable and comfortable. She moves the finished furniture inside, arranging it to create a cozy and functional living space. This house is more than just a building, it's a home, crafted with patience, skill, and a deep connection to the forest. A testament to what can be achieved with simple tools and the resources of the wild. The work doesn't stop there. The video continues to show the woman's diligence as she begins to prepare the materials for the next steps. She shows remarkable strength as she carries large, long logs on her shoulders and places them on the makeshift work area right on the ground in front of the house. She arranges a few flat wooden planks to act as a base, a clever improvisation in the wilderness. Sitting comfortably, she takes out a handsaw and patiently begins to cut the wood. The saw blade moves back and forth rhythmically, and layers of sawdust fly off, falling to the ground. Her face is highly focused on the work. Each cut is straight and decisive. She doesn't saw randomly, but measures to cut the logs into equal lengths. These short logs, after being cut, are neatly stacked on top of each other. This action shows a clear plan of work. She is preparing materials for building or making something else, maybe furniture or an extension to the house. The whole process is a vivid picture of ingenuity, strength, self-reliance, and survival skills, transforming raw materials from the jungle into a comfortable and sturdy home. In the deep, quiet space of the old forest, where sunlight has to filter through every gap in the leaves to scatter sparkling streaks of light to the ground, a life full of determination and creativity still takes place quietly. Next to the unique dome-shaped shelter, a testament to the ability to blend with nature, the woman in camouflage clothing has started a new project. After completing the door for the house, she started to create an essential piece of furniture, a bed, with only rudimentary tools and endless resources of the green forest. The work began with round logs, still with rough bark, bearing the mark of time and nature. She did not rush, but carefully arranged them on a temporary work platform made from a few wooden planks. Each log was rolled over, arranged, forming a straight row. This was not just an act of arrangement, but also the first step in a carefully calculated plan. To ensure accuracy, she used a small, straight bamboo stick as a measuring stick. She placed the bamboo stick on the logs, used a sharp saw blade to lightly score the bark, and marked the positions that needed to be cut. In a world without tape measures or modern machinery, this clever improvisation was key. After measuring, the saw blade began to work. The regular, rhythmic swish-swish sound rang out, blending with the chirping of birds echoing from the foliage. Layers of fine sawdust flew out, covering the damp ground with a thin layer of dust, carrying with it the characteristic, pungent scent of fresh wood. The woman's face shone with intense concentration. Each saw stroke was straight and decisive, transforming long logs into shorter, even pieces. This is the stage that most clearly demonstrated the woman's masterful skills and deep understanding of wood. She chose not to simply connect with nails, but instead used the traditional mortise and tenon technique, a method that creates a strong and durable connection over time. First, she made the mortise holes. Using a saw, she made 2 shallow, parallel grooves in the trunk of the tree. Then, with a sharp axe in hand, she began chiseling away the wood in the middle. Each stroke was not too rough but calculated, just enough force to separate the wood without cracking the rest. Small pieces of wood flew out, exposing the core inside, and a perfect rectangular mortise hole gradually formed. Next, she crafted the mortise heads. On other logs, she used the axe to chisel off the 2 ends, creating a smaller piece of wood calculated to fit the mortise hole. She kept turning the log, chiseling a little bit at a time, then tried it in the mortise hole to check the fit. The seemingly soft hand controlled the axe with power and precision, transforming the heavy labor tool into a sophisticated sculpting tool. When all the details were ready, the real revival began. From the scattered pieces of wood, a structure with a specific shape gradually appeared. She skillfully inserted the mortise and tenon heads into the mortise holes, creating 2 sturdy frames which looked like 2 rustic benches. To increase the sturdiness, she used a hammer to hammer long nails through the joints. The hammer's sharp sound was the final confirmation of the strong connection, ensuring that the bed would be stable against all impacts. With the 2 frames completed, she brought them into the cozy wooden house. She placed them parallel, leaning against the wall made of horizontally arranged tree trunks, forming the legs and support frame of the bed. The final step was to place the longest and thickest wooden bars on top, resting them across the 2 frames to form the bed surface. Each bar was neatly arranged, creating a spacious, flat surface. Finally, she continued to reinforce by nailing the bed bars to the support frame below. And then, the project was completed. Before our eyes is a sturdy double bed, bearing the wild, rustic beauty of the forest that created it. The bed is not only a place to rest after a hard day's work, but also a symbol of independence, creativity, and extraordinary will to survive. It is proof that humans, with ingenuity and perseverance, can completely create a comfortable, fulfilling life even when surrounded by only nature. Inside the house, the flickering fire danced, casting the woman's shadow on the wooden wall, creating a strangely warm and peaceful scene. When the night falls, the deep forest is quiet. Only the rustling of leaves and the flickering fire from the stove remain. Let's take a look back at the amazing achievements that the resilient woman has created. From an empty space on the hillside, a real home has taken shape, not only a shelter but also a rustic work of art, completely in harmony with nature. The house appears with a wild and vibrant beauty. The wooden door with a round window has been completely installed, opening up a cozy and surprising interior space. Stepping through the threshold, we are immediately impressed by the meticulously paved floor with evenly arranged round wooden planks, creating the feeling of walking on a natural trail. Looking up, the dome is made of countless long wooden bars, arranged in parallel and skillfully curved, creating a sturdy and highly aesthetic structure. Every detail, from the wall made of vertical tree trunks to the stacked round logs on the facade, all show calculation, patience, and a deep love for natural materials. Not only stopping at the structure, the space inside the house has also been filled with basic amenities, all handcrafted. The sturdy wooden bed, assembled with sophisticated mortise and tenon techniques, is ready for a good night's sleep. Besides, a small corner is cleverly designed to be a stove, where the red fire not only brings warmth but also serves as the heart of the house, where meals are prepared and the cold of the night forest is dispelled. Life begins. The arduous construction journey seems to have been left behind. Now it is time to enjoy the results. The woman returns to her house, no longer a builder, but a real owner. She brought her luggage, along with her loyal companion, a small white dog. The image of her spreading a thin mattress and a warm floral blanket on the bed, then lovingly hugging the dog before falling into a peaceful sleep by the flickering fire, was an emotional moment. It not only represented the end of a construction phase, but also the beginning of a new life, a free and carefree life in the midst of majestic nature. The house was completed, but the story was not over yet. Life in the wild always contained new challenges and interesting things. What will this woman do next to maintain and enrich her life? Will she farm, hunt, or continue to create other unique works? All of that is still a mystery. We invite you, the audience, to continue to accompany us, to follow the next episodes to discover this girl's inspiring journey, to see how she will face nature and continue writing her admirable survival story. Sincerely thank you for your attention and follow-up.